This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com. A little sweaty because I've made a bit of a mess in my kitchen just now, but I'm back with Andrew Anderson, the Reinforcer. He's an actor, been in such movies as The Wrestler. He's been on Gotham. He's buddies with Ace Frehley from Kiss, doing a renovation project with him right now. He's a wrestler for SWE Fury, where he's appearing February 6th in Irving, Texas. And he's a Cauliflower Alley award-winning wrestler. So how are you doing today, Reinforcer Andrew Anderson?
Haven't seen you in a while, man. It's good seeing you. Always, wondering how you're doing. Canada's locked down again, aren't you?
Yes, yeah, and it's going to be like this for a while, unfortunately, apparently.
Matt Jarrett, a mutual friend of ours from England, who's apparently booking you, Kevin Sullivan, myself, and a couple guys into England. He's having the same problem. He can't run the shows because they locked them down in February, but they're expecting it to be till at least May. Yeah,
well, it's not even shows. You can't even work out here.
I know. So England also. I've been working out. Since October. So I mean, I've been lucky thus far. They haven't shut down New Jersey. I mean, considering how all the government's been running over here. I mean, they're paranoid, and like I said, I kind of figured once they got Trump out, everything would have been a lot. It would have went away, but apparently it didn't. It got actually crazier. I mean, the COVID cases seem like they're ramping up, and people are getting sick. That people who doubted it thought it was a hoax or a political scam. They politicized the whole event. Now those people got sick. So, and now they realize they had an eye opener. So it's not nothing to throw a conspiracy theory at. I mean, at this stage of the game, it's pretty serious. But I asked you in Texas in November 10th, are you going to get the vaccine? I told you I'm not. I don't know. Are you going to get it?
Yes, for multiple reasons, but mainly because you have to do a 2-week quarantine when you go back to Canada if you don't have the vaccine. And also now they made a new rule. You also have to get a COVID test before you come back, even though you have to quarantine anyways.
Yeah.
So
they hit me up with that. They made me do the quarantine test in JFK on the way back from the November SWE Fury show. And in October they just made me fill out a form in Newark Airport, Newark, New Jersey. On the way back from the December 10th show, I had to take 3 COVID tests, 2 rapid, one of the invasive ones, and that was kind of an ordeal in and of itself. But I had to, considering what we do, I mean. But now they're saying that we might not, if we don't have the vaccine, we're not going to be able to fly, go to any events whatsoever, concerts or anything. So.
Yeah. And what's with all the Christmas stuff? You're still celebrating on January 10th.
This is how you know my tree is coming down. It has no ornaments, and King Kong is not on top. I took Kong down, and after all these years of having King Kong as my tree topper, I accidentally broke his arm. So I had to Gorilla Glue the gorilla. So, but this will probably stay up for a while. It's my Marvel Legends and my collectibles. I'll stay up a little longer than everything else, because I put my mantelpiece up late, but usually I love all my Christmas shit. I mean, it's crazy, but my daughter wants it up, and she was like, I want a real tree, and I didn't want a real tree. I wanted a fake one, but I broke down and got a real tree this year again. So
somebody says you look like Hacksaw Jim Duggan on here. I say Dave Sullivan.
Evad Sullivan. Evad. So I heard Evad Sullivan might be coming to Canada very soon, as the lockdown breaks down. What do you think?
That would be interesting. Have you heard anything about him since WCW? He kind of dropped off the map.
I've seen him once in 2001 at a indie show, and I haven't seen him since. I think he wrestled Dave Taylor at an indie show, Squire Dave Taylor, and that was one of the only shows that I think Dave Taylor did on the indies, because he went right to WWE at that time as a trainer and stayed there from there on. But he did a couple of indies at the time too. And Dave Sullivan worked against Dave Taylor. So, and I think that was one of the last times I saw Hillbilly Cousin Luke active at that show. But yeah, man, it's pretty cool. I mean, everything else has been just working smoothly. I'm so excited. The big news. What do we have? We have great news. SWE Fury, and on the 27th, we're having Terry Funk. Can you believe that? Are you going to break anything over his head this time?
I was actually just talking to Kevin Sullivan on the phone. He recorded an audio clip with me about Terry Funk coming to SWE Fury, which Kevin still seems to hold some animosity there towards Terry, so you never know.
Big time. As a matter of fact, I thought Kevin tried to retire him a few years ago. 1 or 2 years ago, they had a confrontation right before Terry got ill that one time when he was at the ECW arena. A few years before that, they did a show and Kevin confronted him at PCW, I think it was. And I don't know if it was in California or Vegas, but I know it's for PCW, and he confronted Terry on that show, and I mean, hell, yeah, there still is a little of professional rivalry there, and Kevin's not too happy with him, but hell, anything can happen. Terry's looking forward to bring Texas wrestling back to Texas and to the world, and to bring the wrestling back in wrestling, from what I understand from the conversations that I've had. And what better person to bring Texas wrestling back to Texas than one of the founding families of Texas wrestling, the Funks, I mean, from Amarillo, and, Dory Sr., Dory Jr., I mean, and Terry were staples of the business. And, funny story. I got to tell you a funny story, Hannibal. Greg Valentine was inducted into the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. I think it was 2018 or 2017 in Wichita Falls, Texas, when it moved from New York to Texas. And I had the opportunity and the honor to sit on the table with Greg, who was inducted by Terry Funk, who is one of Greg's best friends, Stan Hansen, who I've gotten close with, and a man I just met that night, Wild Bill Irwin, who was just a great guy, great personality, and the mayor of Wichita Falls, Texas. Obviously, Terry Funk's wife was also there, and it was a God rest her soul, and it was a real good time. And I gotten to pick the minds of some of the greatest wrestlers of all time, and actually gotten close with them, and that was a real honor. Being sharing time with them, on a table with them. That was pretty cool.
Well, it's going to be the first appearance that Terry Funk has made, I think, since 2017.
Yep.
He had that confrontation with Sullivan, which people can look up. It's on this channel. Kevin Sullivan confronts Terry Funk. So fans that want his autograph, he hasn't been out in a long time. It'd be a great opportunity to come out February 27th to Carthage, Texas, and meet him. But of course, he's going to be around beyond that, which is great.
Yeah. He's going to be adding a lot of input to try to put the SWE Fury on the map, and he's going to be working hand in hand with both Teddy Long and James Beard, and the owner Tom Lance, who's they're all tremendous minds in wrestling. A lot of people don't realize that Tom Lance actually helped promote wrestling in Texas with the Von Erichsen, was a promoter on his own for quite a while, and did a lot of shows, and actually promoted Bruiser Brody's last show in Texas. So.
Also, he even booked Steve Austin when Steve Austin was starting in Greenville, Texas, where SWE Fury was in December, and he's in the Chris Adams movie. He was very close with Chris Adams.
Yep.
So a great guy. Guardian of Chaos says you are one of the best veteran grapplers to not sign with a major company. But I would say this: a lot of people don't put SWE in the discussion of major companies. However, if you look at the star power, it has more star power now than Ring of Honor, MLW, and NWA by far.
Absolutely. You got this big maniac up there now called the Blood Hunter, who's running around destroying people. I'm actually looking at this guy and thinking maybe eventually down the road, I'll eventually get to tag with somebody like that, because they have some open tag team titles available since Perfect Enemy vacated the straps. And you got this other monster up there that's up working up there, Brent McKenzie, who's gunning right now for Tim Storm's heavyweight title. You got amazing talent, and one of the most breakaway stars. I saw this kid I think it was 8 years ago. Moonshine Mantell, Ryan Mantell. I saw this kid, and I said to him back then, I said, "Kid, you're going to go places in this business. You're a hell of an athlete." And he was working another great athlete who unfortunately had to retire, Houston Carson, and the two of them were phenomenal Texas wrestlers, and it was just the quality of wrestling that we have. The guy that's beaten the hell out of Moonshine. I've had my differences with Moonshine, but the guy who's beating the hell out of him, Max Castellano, another great talented guy. I mean, these are guys that other companies have not looked at yet, but they are pure talent. I mean, and the women's division, Hannibal, you have to admit, right now, we at SWE Fury have the most extensive women's division in wrestling.
Oh yeah, Shaw Guerrero, Lacey Von Erich, Miranda Gordy, Christy James, the champion. All these girls that recently appeared in AEW, and it's only getting better. This Renee Michelle too. I'll put her picture up because I'm going to be interviewing her next week. Melina too. Melina's coming on board.
Former WWE Women's Champion. I mean, it's impressive. And then of course you got the world's strongest man, Mark Henry. You throw in a guy like that, you throw in a guy like that. I mean, my connection with Mark Henry is we don't know each other well, but you were there. We both got our awards. We shared the stage at the Cauliflower Alley for the 2019 Wrestling Awards. We both got our achievement awards that night. So that was a real big honor for me. I mean, just to share the stage with Mark Henry, the Barbarian and Haku, or Ming, as you want to call him, who got the Faces of Fear. They got the tag team award, the men's tag team award. I got the men's wrestling award. You had Cody Hawk getting the trainers award. You had, oh my God, who else got the award? Can't even fathom this. I was on the stage getting an award the same time Dory Funk Jr. was getting a Lifetime Achievement Award. How insane is that? Dory Funk Jr. And he took the time out to talk to everybody. He was very gracious. Dr. D. David Schultz, who happens to be a good friend of mine. Doc and I actually, he came over to me and said, he goes, "I got to tell you," he goes, "I heard a lot of good things about you, son." He goes, "You kind of remind me of me." And he goes, somebody was actually talking to me a while back about playing him in a biopic about his bounty hunting career. And so that was in the works. I don't know what happened to that. I guess COVID came and a lot of stuff got scrapped down the road, but that was a project that people were looking at and asking me. And Doc is a great guy. I mean, people look at him and say, "Oh, he's a loose cannon and everything." You know what? The guy had the right to be. He was screwed over a lot. He was lied to, and he was manipulated by McMahon and the system. So I mean, but to share the stage with that caliber of athlete and those kind of legends, and I've been in the business for 26 years, and Devin, I wrestled a lot of the guys. I wrestled a lot of the guys that are no longer with us. I wrestled everybody from Rock to Johnny Grunge. I wrestled them collectively as Public Enemy. I wrestled against freak, I can't even begin to tell you. Obviously Jimmy Snuka, he trained me. I was with Jimmy every night a lot. And shout out going to the Metal Maniac, my buddy Jeff Miller in Hawaii. He had some heart issues, and just prayers for you that you're okay. Wishing you the best. And also, just while I'm on this topic, I want to throw out a prayers for Les Thatcher, who has COVID pneumonia right now, and a great trainer of the Stars and a great worker in his day, and a great wrestler in his day. I hate to use the term worker, wrestler. We're all wrestlers. Even though Vince McMahon would rather us not be called wrestlers, we don't work for Vince, so we can be called wrestlers, right, Dev?
Yeah, I like to stick to the commentating side, but I think Vince likes to call his talent storytelling performers or storytellers now, which is a load. It doesn't make me want to watch, put it that way.
No, what it makes I think somebody over there should pull their freaking thumb out of their ass and go, that's the way I look at it. I mean, that's bullshit. We're wrestlers. Wrestling created his father's company, and wrestling created everything he has. I mean, it's wrestling.
We're not bad comedians. Some of you're pretty funny, but they like to have wrestlers do really bad comedy too.
Listen, you know what we got to do one day? You got to come and see my comedy act. When I get this thing back on the road again, we're gonna have a real blast. One man show, man. I mean, somebody said who needs TV and who needs Netflix? They have Andrew Anderson on the road with them. You know, I'm a walking entertainment unit. You know, so but I've been compared to Brian Knobs in that aspect that we both.
Well, I hope your asshole isn't as large as his. Send me that picture.
The Bat
It's
Cave.
disturbing.
Cave. Actually, later on, I'm going to send you another update on that.
Oh God! Please don't.
Oh yes.
Please don't. That's really disturbing.
Can't get that picture out of your mind.
No, you could fit a bowling ball in there. It's
once your nightmares.
Michael Collins mentions that you're an actor. Do you think all wrestlers should get some acting training to make them better on-screen entertainers?
I don't know about all wrestlers. I think any acting training, anything you can get to fluff your resume in and of itself is great. My agent, Roger Paul just said to me a week ago, he I auditioned for the TV show For Life. It's about it's a prison law drama, and my dog is struggling for attention down here right now as I'm speaking to you. You have that problem too, I see, so on occasion. But I auditioned for a show called For Life. My initial audition, he hated. He had me reshoot it. He liked it, and apparently, they've been raving about it. So for ABC, so it looks like it's going to be another feather under the cap of my career, which, I can't stress enough. When COVID hit, thank God for the acting gigs that I had, because I had some high profile gigs, and they wound up paying decent royalties, and those royalties were basically what kept us afloat. It's hard, when you're not getting a steady check in from wrestling. And I'm one of the few guys who actually made an income, a living off of pro wrestling, because years ago, Hannibal, and you're a guy who can relate to this, because you have done the very same thing. I said to myself, if I can't make a living from wrestling, I will make a living because of wrestling. And I have made a living in both aspects, from wrestling and because of wrestling. Wrestling created my acting career. Wrestling created my convention circuits and getting myself marketed out there. And one of the things I like to do is I like to promote myself, but I want to start doing seminars on self-marketing. And one of the things that I learned from Greg Valentine over the years for teaming with Greg was that the most important thing you have to do when you get lost in a wrestling match is, what do? Grab a hold. You grab a hold, because you got all these spot monkeys and everyone else calling a million spots in the ring. And, I don't know about you, but I can't remember that shit. I walk and talk in the ring, and I do what I know, and I like to call it all in the ring. But one of the things I do in life, and one of the things you have to do in life, is grab a hold. You have to find something to fall back on, and that's when I want to do my motivational speaking and my speaking engagements, is on grabbing a hold in life and pulling yourself together and saying sometimes your dream could still be your dream, but if you try to slowly rely on that dream, it could turn into a financial and logistical nightmare. And you got to have an education. Thank God I have degrees from St. Peter's University. I have a master's in marketing and management, master's in business administration, minor in marketing and management. And I have, because of all the courses that I took, there were electives that I would have to take that were that mattered to both marketing and business, and they were more of them were in political science. So I have a minor in political science. Now, have I used any of this stuff? I did briefly when I worked for a brokerage firm in the early 90s to mid 90s. And, I mean, that was before I decided to become a wrestler full time and just promote myself as an athlete. And, it's just something that I'd really like to do, because I think a lot of the boys really need that. And I'm getting in at an advanced age. I got more, to quote Tim Storm, I have more years in the rear view mirror than I do in the windshield looking forward. So, I mean, it's something to look, that everybody, it comes down to, the cycle of life. It happens to everybody, and eventually I'm going to have to come to terms with it. And as is everybody, I mean, you're going to have to come to terms with it. And you got a great thing going with the Hannibal TV and the podcast. And You know, you got the #1 show out there, and I'm telling you, as a friend, you know, everybody's just say, "Oh, he's friends with Hannibal, so he's plugging Hannibal." Bro, you've been kicking it out of the ballpark for how many years now?
5 years or so. Yes, it's been
Yeah.
doing very well. Yeah.
Yes, you're to me, you are a legit journalist. You're not afraid to answer a question. I was there when you pissed off, what's his name? What's his face? Fort Hercules Hernandez at Mania weekend. Remember that? We were at that place.
Oh, Billy Jack Haynes.
Yes, Billy Jack Haynes. You pissed him off at Mark out at the Meadowlands, and it was just like he got all trigger happy, wanting to fight you. Come on, let's be legit. You know, I love Billy Jack Haynes. I appreciate everything he did, but I mean, he kind of like took it out of context. I mean, you were just there as a as a journalist trying to get your stuff in. I mean, Billy Jack is a great guy. I mean, from what I know of him, from talking to him, he was really nice and everything. But I think he went after you in the wrong context. I'm glad you guys have since ironed things out.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he's well because I know he kind of disappeared off after his friend died. The Oregon wrestler, what's his name? He was from Florida but popular in Oregon. His name's not coming to me, but Billy Jack was very close with him. Wow. And he unfortunately passed away.
Wow.
And then Rip Oliver.
Crippler Rip Oliver, yes. Yes, I met Rip Oliver at the Gathering in North Carolina in Charlotte about a year and a half ago. Yeah, almost 2 years ago. Great guy. Really nice. I never met him before, and I got to sit down and talk to him, and it was pretty cool. So
everyone in the chat wants to know who's this Veronica Cassetto.
What'd she say?
Is there anything you want to ask me before bed?
Let me ask you a question. What's your bust size? How's that? Ask her that.
Michael says, do you think SWE should focus on being the best possible promotion confined to Texas, or should they expand into some other states? Well, actually, I'll put this up.
You put it up.
They're on in other states now. They're on in
the TV show is going everywhere. You go. This is yours. You take this one.
Well, I'll let you answer it. I just wanted to put that up to show it's already on in other states. And also now for people that don't get those channels, it's available in something like 33 million homes. Starting tomorrow, they're going to be putting every new show on the SWE Fury YouTube channel. They've already been putting some classic ones on. Now the Monday after it airs on TV, it's going to be on SWE Fury's YouTube channel, so you could catch all the recent stuff with Andrew there.
And not only that, SWE Fury, you know as well as I do, that better than anybody that I've been for the past 4 years. Kevin Sullivan and I have been trying to get a tour of Cuba. Well, SWE Fury will be part of that when we do it, and it will be taped for SWE Fury TV. But in the meantime, because of the trickle down effect from China and the whole Trump administration, some reason it's going to be later than sooner, only because of the fact that a lot of the travel restrictions were put pretty harsh against Cuba, and I don't know if we're going to go back to that Obama-like openness that we had with Cuba right away. But in the meantime, something else fell in my lap, which I'm breaking news on Hannibal TV, and I will be bringing pro wrestling in 2021 or maybe 2022, because it's still in its formative stage. It's not as we haven't been working on this one as long as Cuba, but we will definitely be in Finland and Norway sometime in the near future, and SWE Fury will more than likely be the name along with our sponsors, our parent company of Classic Championship Wrestling that is running the overseas stuff. So and obviously Hannibal, you'll be part of it, and Kevin Sullivan, myself, James Beard, Tim Storm, and a whole host of the roster will be there, and it's just something to work and to look forward to, and I mean, SWE Fury, from speaking to Tom Lance and speaking to James Beard and picking their brain, I mean, they're not only sitting on their laurels and planning to just be a Texas company, because they are not. They want to be an international company. They want to be they're already doing national TV. So now COVID restrictions have prevented them to getting into a lot of states. Eventually, when those states open up, we will be there. New York, I'm looking to bring SWE Fury into New York, into New Jersey. Preferably New Jersey, because there's not a state athletic commission to hold everybody back with the red tape. But I'm looking at a lot of doors to open up for SWE Fury and help those guys along. Like I said, not always in the in just in headbanging mode, but business mode in general, because what helps one person helps us all. But I got to say one thing, Hannibal. I got to say one thing. I got a message from SWE Fury from a notification the other night. I turned on the notification in the morning. I ignore it, and there is Action Jackson rambling on. Man, he was rambling on. I swear to God, he needed subtitles in what he was saying. He's talking about kicking my ass, beating me from pillar to post, busting me open, breaking my face, breaking my arm, all because he's butthurt that he got his arm hurt in a match, because he threw punches at me that a blatant referee overlooked. And then when I hit him with a punch, I got disqualified. So he got his arm broken. He deserved to get his arm broken. He's the one who was throwing punches at me before I got hit with a closed fist to the face. So, turn around is fair play, pal. And you're crying over spilled milk that you're going to beat me up and you're going to take me out on February 6th at the Sweethearts Ball, or whatever they're calling it now. Well, you know what, Action Jackson? It's not going to happen that way, pal. I broke your arm. You got a hairline fracture of that arm. I want to see paperwork. You can't wrestle. You can't get in the ring with me. You can't compete with me. So listen, next time you cut a promo and you go off on me, there better be some subtitles, because I could not understand that mumbling that you did, and I don't want to say it, but come on, pal, go back to school and learn how to speak English. I don't know what the hell you were saying. It was like you had a mouthful of marbles in your mouth there, pal.
Yeah, and there was a fan, Randy or Rayan Storm, that was just asking you about that character. So I guess it might be his neck that gets broken February 6th in Texas.
You never know. You never know. He's a wise ass. I mean, he was, look, I appreciate everything he did for this business, Action Jackson. Okay. I appreciate AJ. I want to call him AJ, but some people are going to think I'm talking about AJ Styles. But no, Action Jackson, man, come on. It's not 1989 or 88 anymore. Okay. You're not on the top of your game. All right. I know you're big. I know you're tough. And, I know you got them big meat hook fists, and you could chop like a son of a bitch, but come on, you don't have them. Your body doesn't back up your mouth anymore. So just stay out of the game, stay home. And, hopefully I won't have to break anybody else's arm, because if anybody else gets in the way, I'll break their goddamn arm too. I don't care anymore. You know what? This is a competition. This is wrestling, it's one of those things, you just, you got in the ring and you bit off more than you could chew. And, he's the fan favorite. He's the baby face, the good guy. One runs in, puts up his arm. I'm the hero. Oh, I'm the hero. Okay. The crowd loves you. All right. Well, they love to hate me. They love to hate me, and I hate to love them, but those people pay our bills. And you know what? I hate to say it. Those people are pissed off that I broke your arm. And I'm just going to go on record saying it. You deserved it, and I don't care. I'll break your other arm if I have to.
Words of some anger there. So I hope he's training. Hope he's training and preparing for that.
I don't think he's training. I don't think he's trying. I think he's sitting home. He's having. I know he doesn't drink alcohol, so he's probably drinking a whole gallon of sweet tea and popping down some hot dogs and hamburgers and sitting there relaxing himself in his rocking chair, crying over his arm, going, "Oh man, Andrew Anderson broke my arm. Oh, my poor little arm. Oh, it was a football injury. It was previously injured." I don't want to hear that. Previously injured, what, 20-something, 30 years ago? Come on. All right. Come on, give me a break.
Speaking of rocking chairs, yours looks very comfortable.
I love it, dude. I love my rocking chair. My rocking chair is smoking. It was I don't know if you remember my Aunt Anya when I was alive. When she was alive, I used to post a lot of pictures of her. And this was her rocking chair. And when she passed away, I took it home as a memory of her. And man, I love it. If I had a porch and if I had a wraparound porch, I'd sit on my porch with a shotgun and wait for riders to come by the next time. No, seriously, seriously. I love the rocking chair. It's comfortable. It's really comfortable.
Action Jackson to stop by.
Oh, no, I ain't gonna shoot him. You can't. They said I think there's a law in Texas now. You can't shoot horses anymore. You gotta take him out to the hospital and euthanize him with an injection. And I don't do injections, so I'll just break his arm.
The Booty Man wants to know if you've ever wrestled Brutus Beefcake. I remember when the Booty Man was managed by Kimberly Page in WCW.
The Booty Man. Have I ever wrestled Brutus Beefcake? Well, you know what? Ed Leslie, Brutus Beefcake, was for the longest time my road partner. We filmed a documentary on my life and him, our relationship together that never really saw the light of air because it was I think it was not True TV. It was, I forgot what the channel was.
Just to interrupt you for 1 second. Ivy is Action Jackson's best friend. What do you have to say? I take it you have no respect for her, so I'll let you get back on to Beefcake.
Okay, so Beefcake was my road partner, and we did a TV show called Behind the Ropes. We filmed that for about a good 6 to 7 months, and I had a great relationship with Brutus and Greg and me. We and Tito Santana were like family, and for years we went up and down the road together. And God, he stayed at my house countless times. I got some good Brutus stories. I'm not going to go into it, but I got some really good Brutus stories. And, Brutus is a character. And I'll never forget when he first started dating his wife, Melissa, he came to my house and we got totally polluted at a bar by my house called the Colonial. And we got home, me, him, and Greg. And somehow Brutus stumbled into my mailbox in the front of the house and busted his head open. He's bleeding all over the place. And he's like shitting himself, saying, "Oh, Missy's going to kill me. Melissa's going to kill me." And Greg is throwing fuel to the fire, saying, "Oh, he did a blade job." And he did a blade job and telling Melissa that. And she gave him hell over the big gash on his forehead, because she knew he was out drinking and everything. And it was one crazy story. But Brutus is a great guy, man, and I love him, and we wrestled countless times. Last time I wrestled Brutus was two of the last time. One was about I gotta say 5 years ago at 1CW in Delaware. I wrestled Brutus, and then the final time was at the Miccosukee Indian Reservation and Casino in Florida, Miccosukee, Florida, for Legends of Wrestling, which is run by Brian Knobs, and it was me and Brutus, and everybody was on that show, man, from Brodus Clay to Kurt Angle to Bret Hart, Ricky Steamboat, Demolition, Barbarian, Haku, Goldberg. Man, the list went on and on. It was an amazing show. The Nasty Boys, obviously, Greg Valentine. It was a tremendous show. It was a great night of wrestling. I mean, it was just one of those things. Like when Knobs ran that show with Legends of Wrestling with his partner Frank Santini, and they ran in Citi Field. That was an honor to be on that show. That was about 7 years ago, and man, they drew over 10,000 people in Citi Field. Main event was Rick Steiner versus RVD, and Goldberg came out and speared Rick Steiner at the end of it, and jackknifed Luke Gallows. It was a good time. I wrestled. Greg Valentine managed me and Flex Armstrong against two other guys, and it was in the opener on the night, and it was that afternoon. It was just a great thing, It was a great show. It was a lot of great experiences with those guys, and those old timers, the guys that we call old timers, they're Some of them can still go. I mean, Tito can still go. Tito Santana can still move in the ring. Tony Atlas can still go in the ring. And the one who could really go in the ring, Jerry Sags. Jerry Sags, one of my best friends and one of the toughest son of a bitches you'll ever meet. The man is just a monster. The monster. He's and one of the best personalities that you'll ever meet. I mean, he's just the guy is a hilarious guy. He's awesome and he's hilarious. But yeah, man, everything. Brutus was a great friend of mine.
And I think that's the wife that got him into some trouble with Hogan. But we won't go there. But Neil Koloff is watching.
Neil Koloff. Tell Neil Koloff I said that T-Mac wants his typhoid shot in Africa.
Well, he's bringing Africa up, although I don't know if Nigeria is part of Africa. I've never been there.
Yep,
it's not on my destination list,
yep,
to say the least, but he wants you to tell us about Nigeria.
Okay, Nigeria. We had the best of times, and it was the worst of times. It was myself. I'm going to give you a quick rundown. It was myself, Kevin Sullivan. It was run by the Barbarian and Sione Vailehi and his wife, Mama, we call her. And he was there with Warlord, Terry Sapinski, Val Venus, Shelton Benjamin, Mikey Mondo from the Spirit Squad, Neil Koloff, and Merengue Warrior, and God, it was just Big Rick Fuller was my tag team partner that weekend. Me and Rick Fuller tagged quite a bit. And who else was there? Slam Shady. We had our own little clique, and then they had their own guys too that wrestled on the show. Some African wrestlers that were just out of control, and it was a good time up until they decided that the ring that they ordered shipping from the state side didn't come, and we had to use a local promoter's ring up there, and they held us at gunpoint and took our passports away, and we had to stay an extra 2.5 weeks to complete those shows, and added a couple of shows in on it. And I'll just remember when I got there, and just before I wrestled in the building, I remember Mike Mondo looking over at Neil Koloff and saying to him, "Isn't that the ring that the guy got stabbed in?" I said, "What?" And they wrestled the show before, the previous tour before that. And I said, "What are you talking about?" Well, one Nigerian guy didn't want to put over a guy from Ghana in the ring. And during the match, he stuck a shiv into him, and the guy bled to death in the ring. And I was like, oh, boy, this is something to look forward to. But the first show we did there was an event that ran on what I call Africa time, or as they call it down in the Bahamas, they call it island time, which means never starts at a proper time. It started at midnight. So the show starts at midnight. It's got the big trusses. It looks the Titantrons. It looks like an amazing. It's at a hotel, and it's amazing. Except there's the people in attendance are all military, like the generals. They all look like Idi Amin. You know, they were all wearing the big beige outfits with the red and the green and all the medals clipped to them, and it was all the upper echelon of Nigerian government in the front on the lounge tables that surrounded the ring, and then the rest of the hotel was packed with military people, I guess regular soldiers and their families and stuff. But for the most part, it was run for the military, and that was a great show. And the second show was in a place called the Tessalon Balagon Arena, and that had a pretty big crowd, but it was a nightmare to wrestle because the conditions in the place were just not sanitary. And I remember going from this great hotel where everything was super clean to this horrible arena where you had to piss and take a dump in a crack in the ground. I mean, it was disgusting. I mean, there was no running water. You had to drink the bottled water that they gave you, and that place was just...
I once in Puerto Rico actually went into the forest to use the bathroom before a show because the conditions were so disgusting in the bathrooms with dead birds and so forth in there.
Horrible. Dead birds, rats, and mice, and it was the same thing in this place. It was disgusting. I mean, it was horrible. And there was snakes. There was a snake crawling through where the bathroom was in the locker room. There was a snake in the toilet. It was disgusting. I was like, oh man. somebody sits on that, they're gonna get that balls freaking bit off.
And yeah, that snake ended up going back to New York and started reopening the NAWA.
Listen to me. Oh my God, that guy is running. That guy is running a show right now that wasn't even nobody even the building, the Dortmund Arena, had no idea that he was running it. He told everybody he's advertising it. And, I guess it was Carmine. Carmine turned around and he looked it up. Not Carmine. Chaz looked it up. Chaz Moretti found out that the building was not even booked by NAWA, and God, he unbooked me. He unbooked me when he found out early on when he found out I was working for SWE Fury, and he'd call me to pick my brain. And then what he did to you guys was just far worse than what he did to me. But
what he did to the fans was the worst. You false advertise 9 people, and then it turns out this guy allegedly stole money, and there's all sorts of weird stuff about him. So,
well, I know. According to the boys, a lot of the boys told me he got paid, and they were all like, I mean, from what I heard, a lot of all the guys got paid, as far as I know. That, which is the most important thing. I don't want to see the boys get ripped off. But the guys that he advertised and then pulled off, and the guys that he false advertised, we should all got something, and we didn't. We got treated like shit and lied to and jerked around. And phone calls not answered. It was just it was one of those situations that just is just a bullshit situation. Unfortunately, something like that puts a blight on the business, and.
The only good thing it did was Bash at the Beach 2000 was no longer the worst wrestling event ever put on in that Daytona arena. This one definitely made that look like WrestleMania 3.
Did you say that to Kevin? Did you tell Kevin Sullivan?
No, I was just thinking about that now.
Oh my God, that's funny. That's funny. Oh yeah, I talked to Kevin yesterday. We were talking about upcoming stuff. We have a couple of signings that we're going to be doing up here in New York, and I know that Sean Wagner from 1CW said to he wants to bring myself and the Blood Hunter with Kevin Sullivan in as Kevin managing myself and the Blood Hunter as a tag team in Delaware coming up as soon as it opens up. He wants to do that, and another company up in upstate New York is looking at bringing myself and the Blood Hunter in to do some tag team work. And so that's some of the stuff we got going on in the future. Kevin knows about that, and we're just trying to keep ourselves relevant, keep ourselves moving. I mean, the same thing with you. I mean, the great thing with you is you have this platform, and not a lot of guys can get this kind of platform and be able to have the guests that you have. I mean, bro, you have an impressive roster of guests. I mean, I love it. It's really good stuff. I mean,
Kurt Angle coming up April the 14th too. Aussie 6 wants to know about flying to Arizona, the story of what happened.
Well, Aussie 6 has to call himself Aussie 6 because Facebook pulled him off of all his accounts for doing some politically incorrect crap. So he was one of the replacement Rock and Roll Express in WCW back in the day, and he was Ricky Valentino. So he did the Ricky Morton gimmick, but he called himself Ricky Gibson back then. So he was on a plane with me. We're flying out to wrestle for the Rowdy Wrestling Federation in Arizona in 2019, and this is in June of 2019. This is a recent rib that I did, and he's from Alabama, and he's a wise ass. I mean, he's a good guy. He's now managing me on some shows here and there, and he says we're having breakfast. We both had a layover in Chicago and then flew together to Arizona. We were heading out to Tucson, and as we're boarding the plane, I'm boarding in lane in group A, and he's boarding in group like C or D, and he's all pissed off about that. And he's trying to get his seat bumped up so he can get on with me because the seat is actually next to mine. Well, long story short story, I'm getting on the plane and he yells out at the top of his lungs, "Hey, Anderson, you forgot your tube of anal wart cream." So everybody in line going rapid around to the end where he's at heard it, and they got a big chuckle out of it, anal wart cream, ha, ha, ha. So I was like, all right. And he goes, "I'll pick it up later, but I ain't rubbing it in," So I'm sitting, okay, all right. So now we get on the plane. We're on the plane, and we're sitting next to. I got this open seat where he's sitting next. I got the window seat, and on the aisle seat is a gentleman who just happens to be a U.S. Marshal, but I didn't know it at the time. And of course, he gets on the plane, and the U.S. Marshal's looking at me, and I'm buckled in and everything, and he calls up and says, "I can't get on the plane. They're not letting me in. They're not letting me on the plane." And I'm like, "Are you fucking serious?" So now I got ribbed twice, and then he's smiling as he's walking down the aisle. Last person on the plane comes in. He's ready to take his seat next to me. He gets on his seat. Now, I'll tell you why the U.S. Marshal was looking at me kind of funny. It'll come in the punchline. So Rick sits down. He's chuckling up, laughing up a storm. There ain't no war cream. They all heard you. The flight attendant comes by, and she says, "Sir," she says, "do you have everything you need? You have your anal wart cream?" I'm like, "Ha ha ha!" Very funny. In the meantime, I pull out from my fanny pack a bunch of airplane shots. So I start plying me and him with booze. I offer one to the guy on the far left, but he says, "No, I can't. I'm working." I said, "You're working?" I said, "You working when you land?" He's like, "No, I'm an air marshal." I'm like, "Oh," he goes, "You can't bring those on a plane." I'm like, "Oh fuck, I'm screwed." He's like, "I don't care. Just everything's cool. I'm not here for that kind of stuff." He goes, "I'm here for, to prevent any type of terrorism stuff. You guys seem like you guys are fun." And so he was really cool. He's telling us he's a deep sea diver, and he pulled out a megalodon tooth that he found, and it was a big giant shark tooth. It was really cool, and he actually wound up sending one to my daughter. And short of the story is, so now Rick has to piss. I'm plying him with alcohol and water. When he got on a plane, every time he tried to turn on the little overhead air vent, I tightened it with all my strength so he couldn't turn it on. So now he's sweating, and he's drinking, and he has to piss, and he can't get up. And he's trying, but he can't get up. And I'm watching him, and he can't get up. Well, finally, we land. It was almost a 3.5-hour flight. We land. Air Marshal says his goodbyes. I say to him, "Are you okay?" He goes, "Oh, yeah." He goes, let me just sit here on my feet cramped up. I'll get off the plane. You go first." So I went over him, crawled over him, got out, grabbed my overhead bin, grabbed my luggage, got out. Now I'm sitting there laughing my ass off. He had to piss like a racehorse. I gorilla glued his seat straps in, his buckle. He couldn't get out of his freaking thing. 3 hours later, that thing glued like concrete. He won't admit it, but I know he pissed himself because they came running in with the jaws of life to cut him out of his seat when the flight was over. But he managed to break it out with the stewardess to break the buckle and get out. And first thing he did was hit the bathroom. He came in. He goes, "You son of a bitch." He goes, "That was all that shit that gooked onto the thing." He goes, "You glued me." So from then on, he's been calling me the Gorilla Glue Man, a big blonde gorilla and everything else. But yeah, so he was a victim of one of my ribs.
That's very funny. Oh my God, what the hell?
Oh man, what's that feedback? So yeah, he's a good dude. He's a good guy. We just did the Hazard Fest in Tennessee in September, and they had 7,000 people. It was pretty interesting.
That was crazy feedback. Timothy wants to know about Crazy Ivan.
Oh, Tim Warner? Is it Tim Warner?
Timothy Theory.
Yes.
Tim Warner. He's got a belt. He's the champion of something.
Yeah, he's the champion, all right. He's a good guy, man. Tim is actually one of the guys who's helped me out. I brought him in, introduced him to Ace, and he's been working. He's actually more of a handyman than I am with doing stuff. And I actually just hang out. We all wind up hanging out with Ace and doing stuff, but we help him. Ace is hands on with the studio, and Tim actually helps us out a lot and does a lot of the work that really speeds things along. He's a great hand to have, and he's also a hell of a worker. He's a great athlete. The flips this kid does, he's great. But Crazy Ivan, oh my God! You know what? I think I'm gonna do. What I'm gonna do is this. Is there any way later on you could splice a clip into this?
Is this the clip that your tag team partner sent?
Yes.
Yeah, our audio is not going to play, but he did send this, and I can put it up if you want to tell.
Yeah, put it up. Just like I say is that for years, this guy's been bullying everybody in the business. I know him for 25 fucking years. This guy was bullying everyone, and then he starts talking back to me and Alpha, and he's cussing us out up and down over something in the match, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" And it was like, oh, I never lose my temper, and it was just. I kind of lost my temper. I gave him the opportunity to get out of the ring 3 times. I tried to dump him out of the ring, and he kept grabbing me by the balls. And he kept grabbing me by the balls. And I kept saying, dude, get out of the sandbox. You're going to get hurt. And he kept grabbing me by the balls. Well, the tape is self-explanatory. And hopefully when you splice it in, the fans will be able to see what happens.
I'll put it up right now.
Oh, it's crazy.
Our voices won't be able to hear, but okay. I'll put it up because it's only about a minute or so. Oh God, I almost played that twice. So yeah, he didn't want to get out of the ring. The one guy when you're trying to throw him out of the ring.
Yeah, he's grabbed me by the balls while during the whole thing, trying to grab me. He's literally squeezing my nuts. I'm like, oh, this is not going to end well for him. You know, this is not going to end well for him.
Oh boy.
I did Hannibal proud.
What is I've had a bunch of those incidents for whatever reason. For some reason I'm like a magnet to them.
I know, that's why I keep saying it. I did Hannibal proud. You know, I did you proud in that one. But
Tyson misses you. Marco wants to know about you and the Nasty Boys, who were some of the people that were false advertised for that NAWA show.
Me and the Nasty Boys, we go way back. I mean, God, my 50th birthday party, Knobs and Jerry and Animal and Road Warrior Animal and Greg, they were all here, and it was a good time. I mean, Knobs is hysterically funny. My family all loves him, and my family loves Jerry. And Jerry was hysterical. He took my Nona, who was 80 years old, sat her on his lap, kept saying, "Come on, Nona, it's me and you. We're going into the hot tub tonight." It was hysterical. I mean, she was freaking blushing and everything. It was a great time. You know, I mean, those guys are great. I mean, I've been on the road with them so much, and the stories I could tell you. Everybody's got a Knob stories. I got 100 Knob stories. Oh God, Knobs. He listen. Say what you want about the Nasties. They are 2 of the greatest guys on the freaking planet, and I love them dearly. You know, and
they're nasty.
you know, really good dudes. You had Knobs on. You and Knobs had a great time.
I had him not only for a shoot, but also a live interview in front of an audience.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, Knobs is hysterical. I mean, damn, Knobs is one of the fun. When you get him on the money, I mean, he's on the money. And you know who's even funnier than Knobs? I mean, Knobs is hysterical when he drinks, but when Sags is sober, he's funny. They're like the opposite. Knobs is funnier when he's drunk, and is more serious when he's sober. Sags goes from being hysterically funny to freaking beyond hysterically funny when we're drinking or sucking down some edibles or something like that. That was funny. Oh my God!
Didn't Knobs stop drinking?
Knobs. I mean, he did for a long time, and then all of a sudden he switched to the red apple. And you know, I mean, that stuff is a lot of sugar. I told him you got to lay off that stuff. I mean, he's gone through the COVID shit has hit him really hard, and he's sitting home. He's not doing much. He can't get out. He's got severe diabetes, and one of the drawbacks to that is his doctor told him if you get COVID, you're not going to make it at all. So Knobs really has to be careful everything he does, and I want him around for a long time. I mean, I love him like a brother, and so I don't blame him for being extra safe. He'll message me, Devin. He'll message me and start screaming at me saying, I was doing the Hazard Con. I was doing a couple other conventions and stuff. I did the Greater Tennessee Comic Con, Smoky Mountain Comic Con. I did that, and every time I'm at these Comic Cons, he would call me up. I'm watching you on Twitter. I'm watching you on Facebook. I'm watching you on Instagram, and you're not wearing a fucking mask. Put your fucking mask on, Drew. You're gonna get somebody sick. So he's like I said, he's got a heart of gold, and he's only looking out for us. So I mean, he's a really good dude. So but it's
too.
What happened?
Funny character for sure.
Oh, they don't have characters like that anymore. That's one of the things lacking about wrestling, and you have to admit it. The characters are gone. They don't have the characters like they used to have. I mean, everybody's a character in and out of the ring. I mean, fuck. Nas and Jerry. I mean, Honky. I mean, all those guys. Jake. Nobody's like that anymore. I mean, now everybody's so like. I just remember. I remember being in Africa.
How drunk do you think he was in this picture?
What happened?
How drunk do you think he was in this picture?
I can't see it. It's
only on my end.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I fully agree with you. The characters are gone, and that's one of the sad parts of wrestling today. And even the few that are lame characters, like the Orange Cassidys, that just makes wrestling look stupid.
If somebody came at me in a fight and was slow kicking my foot, I'd rip his head off. It really, honestly. I mean. The kid's over. I got to give him that. He's over. I mean, it's money to AEW, but to me, it's not wrestling. I mean,
they're getting the 0.25 rating. So if you want to say that they're doing it,
I think they peaked, right?
They started in the 0.6s. So
wow.
So yeah, I think it's safe to say. And then Kenny Omega, he was making his Impact appearances. The last one where they released the rating was a 0.03, and they didn't release this week's. So I can only assume it's below 0.03. So that whole invasion where Tony Khan was Eric Bischoff, it's not cool. There's nothing cool about it. Maybe to some of the smart marks, but to your average mainstream people, they don't even know.
They don't care. That's the problem. The people don't care. It's become people say it's WCW light. I don't think it's anything like WCW. I don't think it's anything like WCW. I mean, look, I think it's. Look, I got to admit this. I think it's a better product than WWE right now. I will say that. I mean, NXT though was tremendous. My favorite wrestler on NXT and WWE is also a good friend of mine who I've been up and down the road with, Louis Martinez. He wrestles as Damian Priest. I'm a huge fan of his. I watch his shit, and then when he's off, I don't watch anything. He's a good dude. I had a lot of wrestling matches with him, and we killed each other, man. He was every bit the character that he is, and he was a good dude, man. I mean, he still is, and God bless him. I love to see guys that make it in the business, and do things, and successfully too, I mean, I just wish the atmosphere was different and it was not COVID and, wrestling was wrestling again. It had characters and, it's like I said, it's the characters were more characters sometimes out of the ring.
Shepherd City White has a funny comment here. They're over with continuously diminishing audiences.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
But yeah, you mentioned it too. I think in the past, a lot of the characters were like they were in real life. And these were, Terry Funk told me this, that a lot of the wrestlers from the past, like a guy like Flair and Piper, they couldn't have had normal jobs where you'd go to work for 9 to 5. Wrestling was the only way to go. Now they're taking people that play video games when they're done their match. Or Kevin Owens, I heard him say it. on Steve Austin's podcast, which I listened to. He said, when I'm not wrestling, I try to sleep as much as possible so the time goes by faster. Well, how about you get in the gym so you look like an actual guy that could actually knock someone out, even though you never knocked out a single person in your life. But whatever, you're right about the characters.
Yeah, they're all, look. What was his name? Greg's original tag team partner, Greg Valentine's original tag team partner. What's his? I can't think of his name.
Dino Bravo?
No, not Dino Bravo. No, before Beefcake, Bravo, Flair, anybody. One of the Jackie Fargo, the Fargos, one of the Fargos. He was crazy. The guy had a hole in his foreskin, and he would put his foreskin of his penis on a table in a bar, and put a nail on his dick, and then take a hammer and hammer it in. People thought he hammered his dick legit into the table, but it was actually going through the hole in his foreskin. And he would say, "Now do I get a free drink?" The guy would do shit like that. I mean, the guy was batshit crazy. You know, I mean, fuck. I mean, Greg even said the guy was batshit crazy. I mean, a lot of the guys were freaking funny, but they were funny crazy. They weren't bad crazy. You know what I mean? They were just funny. They were characters. They made you laugh. Lou Albano was hysterical. When I knew Lou. Lou was one of my first managers on the indie scene when I broke in '92, and Lou was watered down version of what he was. You know, I loved Lou, and and a shout out to Cammy Albano, his niece, but Lou was watered down. I mean, they said that he was so crazy, and I was expecting this mental case. And here he is. He was just like a gentleman, a little old man, and but still, it was pretty cool. I mean, Jimmy Hart is still a character. He's still a character, and he's one of the smartest guys in the business. I mean, I mean, as far as business goes, but the business end, I mean, Jimmy Hart is a character, and he's still active in the business. Oh God, Beefcake was a character. My God, Beefcake was a character. Greg Valentine was not a great. He's the turtle. I guess if you want to consider his character, he was Orange Cassidy before Orange Cassidy was doing Orange Cassidy.
Other than he was realistic, other than Greg Valentine would hit you, and you know very well what Greg Valentine would do to Orange Cassidy.
Oh yeah, Greg Valentine would hit you so hard you had to roll down your socks to shit, because I've been hit by those ham hocks. I've been hit. Me and Greg at the New York Comic Con in 2013 or 2012. We had a line going out the building to get chopped by me and Greg. It was $50, and it was $50 to get chopped by me or Greg, and we were killing it. Some people were paying $100 and getting hit by the two of us. And I got the videos to prove it. I'll send you one. On a messenger. You can put that up. It was pretty good. It was amazing. It was one of the best times that I had. And I just remember making so much money. And we were doing it one time, and Honky Tonk Man and Scott Steiner and everybody were telling people the story. We were at WrestleMania 30 and in New Orleans, and me and Greg were chopping people, making money. And I just remember Tommy Dreamer was at his table down at the end with the Dudleys, and all of a sudden, next thing I hear, whacks, whack, whack. So Tommy started hitting people with a Singapore cane for $50. So but we had waivers and stuff like that to do it. We had them sign waivers because God forbid you hit somebody and they have a heart attack. But then Greg, listen, Greg let me do the chopping at WrestleMania 30. I was throwing the chops. Greg was putting people in a figure four leg lock, and Bushwhacker Luke and Honky Tonk Man, who had a table together, were laughing hysterically that he was doing it. They were laughing hysterically. And they just loved it. They were like, oh man, anything to make money, So we were trying to tell Honky to break a guitar over somebody's head. He goes, yeah, that's an expensive type of thing to do, breaking my guitar, So I go through a lot of them. They better pay me $1,000. So, but yeah,
he came up with doing guitar studs after that. I don't know if you ever saw what happened with his guitar stud where he busted his hand open.
No, I never saw that. What happened?
Oh. Tell us a story about the Honky Tonk Man, and I'll find that clip.
Oh God, Honky Tonk Man story. Honky Tonk and I and Greg would do shows. We had a midget, Jimmy Decker, and Jimmy would manage us on shows and conventions and bring us in. And and Jimmy would lean on. He was getting very overweight at the time. He was gaining weight. He was going through some depressions. He was not a bad guy, a good guy, but Jimmy we brought him to the Cauliflower Alley twice, but he'd lean over on your table and he put his little fat ass. So that's an oxymoron. His big fat ass would put it out, and he'd lean, and he couldn't stop moving his head. His head was always moving, and he's leaning his head like this as he's talking to you. He's whispering to you, and you got to move in because he's whispering so low. And he was doing it to Honky Tonk. I just remember Honky Tonk in front of everybody going, "Listen up, you 400-pound midget! Get the fuck off my table! You're messing up my pictures." And from then on, it was 300-pound midgets. He kept calling him the 300-pound midget, and him and the midget would hate each other. 3 months later, they're working again. They fire each other, fire him, work with him, fire him, work with him. So Honky's a character, man. I mean, Honky's a great guy. I love Honky Tonk too. He was mad at me at one of the WrestleManias. I think it was the one in New Orleans because he told me he said he ordered somebody to go out and get coffee, and it was the way he said it. And I got mad at him, and I got coffee for him and Bushwhacker Luke. The guy who got the coffee for him and Bushwhacker Luke, I took it from him and I threw cigarette ashes and everything and gave Honky that one, gave him the other one. Honky was a little mad at me because he was mad that I shouldn't have ribbed him with that and everything, but it was just a rib. That's all it was. It was just what it was. But Honky and I have long since made up on that one, you know?
I couldn't find it offhand. I know it's around somewhere, but he basically was at a Boston Pizza in Canada, in somewhere in the Maritimes, and he was given a guitar, and the manager or whatever had a guitar, and they made a video. They were supposed to hit the guitars together, and the manager hits the Honky Tonk Man's hand with his guitar, and it busts his hand open, and it caused like serious damage to his finger. So it like starts off very funny, and then turns to like a serious incident, and he had to go to the hospital. He had to cancel bookings.
Oh my God.
Like 6 weeks over it. So that's why he said after that, no more guitar stunts.
Oh, I don't blame him for that. He must have been. If I know Roy, he was pissed. He was pissed. You know?
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about SWE Fury. We've talked about WWE and AEW to death,
Yep.
But at least I like SWE Fury because we mentioned the James Beards, the Kevin Sullivans, Teddy Longs, Terry Funk now involved in the philosophies of it. And these aren't guys that are going to say more leg slapping in every match, please.
We can't forget that before that, there was Joe Laurinaitis, Animal, and Greg Valentine also adding their wisdom to that in the early
Grappler too, wasn't there? The Grappler, Len Denton as well.
Yep, Len Denton was there too. Oh, can't forget Lenny. He was there too. Yeah, and it's a great company. It's a great atmosphere. It's a great locker room. A great bunch of guys to work with, and with the exception of Action Jackson, did I tell you I broke his fucking arm?
Yes, you did. And I was backstage doing interviews during that time, and I saw the ambulance come, and I saw him getting taken away and whatever. I didn't know him, so I actually didn't even pay any attention to it.
It was business. I even called him to wish him Merry fucking Christmas. I should have put a ribbon around your arm when I broke it.
Yeah, you're quite the Christmas enthusiast today, that's for sure.
Yeah, brother, it's the tree, the King Kongless tree. It's coming down tomorrow. I don't know how my daughter's going to get the lights off, but she mummified it with the lights. She was running around in circles around it, all knotted up.
Well, I don't think you're going to be able to see this, but again, I'll put up the poster here for February 6th, SWE Fury events just outside of Dallas. One of many posters. Then Carthage, February 27th. Lots of big stuff coming up.
Yep.
And you're going to break someone's neck, actually, on the next SWE Fury show. So that's something to look forward to.
And let's hope that let's hope that a lot of fans come out and see the legendary Terry Funk. I mean, that's a major coup for the wrestling business right there. Bringing Terry Funk back, and Terry loves the business and he loves Texas wrestling, and he's really connected to SWE Fury now in a big way, and that's something to really look forward to. And I can't wait. And happy belated birthday to James Beard, who just turned 70 years old. Love him, you know. Although if he points his finger in my face again like that, stop throwing those punches, you know.
Yeah, and there's an interview with James Beard on this channel. And this video, again, I'll remind the fans, this is also streaming on the SWE Fury channel, which I should have even changed the brand to SWE Fury in the corner now of the video, because I'm doing this interview for SWE Fury too. So subscribe to their YouTube channel.
Absolutely.
And you can see Andrew in action and guys like the Blood Hunter, who's now managed by Selena De La Renta, Tim Storm, the heavyweight champion, Rodney Mack, the TV champion. So much great talent, and it's only getting better. What's his name? Lance Archer from AEW, one of the bright spots of AEW, appeared on the last show.
Unbelievable match with Tim Storm too, and we can't forget the technical wizardry of Charlie Haas, a guy who started out in the business with me and in North Jersey wrestling, and you know, I worked thousands of shows with him over there on the Indies before he went into the WWE. I mean, Charlie's a legend. Excuse me, Charlie's a legend and a great guy,
and let's set the record straight for all these idiots out there, because they haven't seen him in 12 years on TV, and he doesn't need to be 250 plus pounds anymore. He leaned out. There's nothing wrong with him.
He's training young upcoming Greco-Roman and freestyle wrestlers. He's training kids. He's got a camp. He's a wrestling coach at a high school, and he's phenomenal. The guy, he forgot more about wrestling than more people than I probably know. This kid was just, when I say kid, because we were kids together. Charlie is just him, Shelton Benjamin, and Kurt Angle, and Brock Lesnar to an extent are cut out of a different mold than everybody else in the business. I mean, this guy is phenomenal. He's a wrestling machine, and he looks great. And he leaned out. Big deal. He leaned out. That's it. There's nothing wrong with him. He looks great.
Someone came to say hello as we close this off, and Herb Simmons, who we all know, the St. Louis promoter, wants me to say hello to you from him.
Herb, I love you, pal. I wish you the best. I can't wait for this COVID to end so I can come down to HICW and show up and work with you. One of the greatest and longest promotions in the wrestling business, been around forever, and I hope to be part of it soon. Herb, you're always in my thoughts, you and your wife, and God bless you, pal. I love you.
And to close this off, we'll let you say whatever message you want for the fans as Piper says hello and goodbye to you. And what's going to happen February 6th? You've already talked about it. Somebody said earlier he's an Ahmed Johnson wannabe. Yeah,
well, you know what? I mean, look, he had his day, and he's a tough customer, and you know, I mean, you know, but hearing him squeal like a little baby when I broke his arm, that was very pleasing to me. It brought out a sadistic side of me, and you know, I mean, look, he brought it upon himself. You know, the rules are the rules. You don't throw overhand punches, closed fist punches to the head in SWE Fury. Just like you don't throw somebody over the top rope. It's an automatic disqualification. I got disqualified for throwing for the closed fist punch to the head, while if you look at the video, he beamed me 3 freaking times, and the ref didn't even see it. So I said to the ref, "It's okay then." I said, "So I'm going to do the same thing too." I did it once. I got DQ'd. You know what? That damn arm of his that he hit me with, it's broke now. You aren't going to be throwing that punch at anybody, pal. AJ, sayonara, pal. You know, enjoy retirement. Maybe
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe